Hello, everyone, and welcome again today to Red Nose. And I'm Jane, Chief Midwife here. And I'm delighted to introduce to you Melbourne Renegades' very gifted right arm leg spinner. I hope I said that correctly, Cameron Boyce. He has recently joined Red Nose as an ambassador to help us spread the important messages of safe sleep and the prevention of sleeping accidents, as well as talk about the importance of great support when it comes to grief and loss. And we're so very, very lucky to have him. Cameron is really well known for his extraordinary efforts in cricket, both international and domestic, for playing T20, and has most definitely solidified his place here in this country as one of the best spin bowlers that we've had. And we're so lucky to have him. Cameron, hello.
Hey Jane, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you. It's just such a pleasure. As we both know, having a baby changes everything. You have days of absolute inexplicable joy. It's happy chaos some days, and some days it's really, really hard. We have lots of sleepless nights, and we've got feeds upon feeds upon feeds that we have to work through. But we also have to know how to look after our babies to keep them really, really safe, particularly in the sleep environment. So today we'll be chatting about how you negotiated that as a new parent and as a dad. But we're also going to talk about a really important topic. So despite our best efforts in having these babies and trying to protect them, tragedy does unfortunately still happen. We lose 9 babies a day to stillbirth, SIDS and fatal sleep accidents, and that's a tragedy that is absolutely just inexplicable and something that is just so very, very sad for everybody involved. And it's important to talk about it because we need to learn from it, and we need to know where we can go to get really, really good support. So again, Cameron, I'm really glad that you're able to talk to us about that today as well.
No worries at all. I was astounded by that number. So it's when I first heard that number, 9 babies a day, it's it's pretty staggering. So
yeah. Exactly. Really, really sad. I think before we get started, Cameron, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Red Nose?
yeah, so basically I've been with the Melbourne Renegades now for this is my 4th year. Been playing BBL since BBL 2, so yeah, it's up to BBL 11 now. So it's going a fair while. So had our firstborn 4 years ago. We sort of planned to have her at a certain age, or him or her at the time, but yeah, at a certain age. And then, a few years after that, ended up having our second one. And I guess as soon as I heard about you guys coming on board and doing some charity work through some games and some other networks, I was, extremely excited to link up just with some of the experiences I've had personally, and obviously the work that you guys do. As I said, touching on that number that we just heard before, it's quite staggering. So I'm just really excited to be a part and to be able to help out as much as I can.
Yeah, thank you. I guess, when you're a new parent, particularly when you're a dad, it can be really easy to hand over all the cares to mum. Mum sort of looks like she's got it all together. She's doing all the feeds. She's getting up in the night, and it can be hard to know kind of where you fit in that picture. But I understand, Cameron, you are a stay-at-home dad in between travel for work for cricket. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So we basically have our system now where I only have to be away for 3.5 months of the year. So my wife Ash, she'll work all year, and then I'm home with the kids. So we've got another one now who's nearly 7 months. So Ash is on mat leave still, but heading back to work soon. And then we'll be back to normal as we were when I sort of come home from Tassie. We sort of moved back from there, and then those first couple of years it was Ash working and me at home. So it's certainly been a different sort of experience. And I guess from a cricketing point of view, you don't have many guys that are doing that now. I know that Cricket Australia are doing some really good things with mat leave and introducing certain things with the girls for the girls game as well. So it's certainly getting better. But I would say there wouldn't be many circumstances like my own.
Oh, you're so lucky. But, COVID, that cast a cloud over the rest of us mere mortals that don't play amazing sport like you. It did mean that, people could be at home a bit longer with their children, particularly the dads, which is great. But what made it tricky was that despite, the research telling us that parents, learn best when they demonstrated, repeatedly ways of doing things with their children, that didn't really happen very much because of COVID. We couldn't, really attend antenatal appointments. You couldn't really do very much postnatally. So it was really, really hard to learn those skills. And I just wonder, with yourself, when you're home with those babies, or even with your first baby, Cameron, what did you do to find the information that you needed, particularly about safe sleeping?
Yeah, I guess we were probably pretty lucky. So yeah, we had Bonnie, our firstborn, down in Tassie at Calvary Hospital up in North Hobart, and they were honestly amazing. Like our midwives that we had. So my wife had a little bit of trouble leading up the last few weeks of her pregnancy. She had a couple of significant bleeds, and we spent a fair amount of time in hospital. So we were quite lucky in the fact that, it was almost like we just became a part of the family at the hospital up there. Obviously, there's not as many people down there as there is in the other states. But we sort of just learned through experiences just through those guys, and obviously having that difficulty leading up prepared us, or made us prepare a little bit. I suppose, we were a lot more strict about certain things. So, luckily enough for us, everything went smoothly through birth and whatnot. But the prenatal classes and all that we did certainly gave us a lot of information that we needed. But yeah, I guess since talking to you guys and linking up with you guys, like, I wish that we did know a lot more. My wife's very particular about things that we do with the kids, and she was very much all over safe sleep and baby seats being put in correctly and all that sort of stuff. So I guess that first bit when she was born was quite steady for us, just because my wife was all over it. But yeah, certainly when when she went to work and then I had to deal with some stuff of my own, it became a little bit harder. But I guess the information is out there, obviously, if you can find it. I suppose we just learned through our own mistakes and just our I guess preconditioning to really wanting to be good parents and making sure we're doing the right thing. But, as you would know, not every circumstance is the same. So there's good times and there's bad times, and you try and do the best as you can, or the best you can for your children, I suppose.
Exactly. And it is hard to find the information given that there is so much. So sometimes you can get very much lost in the weeds. And I guess when we're looking for information about our kids, it's a good rule of thumb is to always try and find evidence-based information, because we know, midwives, doctors, we all work from an evidence base. We don't just go off on our own tangents and think, oh, well, this seems about right, so we'll do it. And that's where Red Nose is fantastic, because everything that we do teach does have a very strong underpinning of evidence, which is great. And we know that the safe sleep recommendations do help keep babies really safe. And we know that they do save lots of lives. When you were with your kids, did you practice lots of tummy time? Was that something that you did? Did you do bath time? What were the sorts of things that you did as a dad to get involved? Because it's hard for dads to know sometimes how they can kind of break in to that.
Yeah, no, look, I pretty much tried everything. Like, tummy time was an awesome experience. Like, I didn't, I guess, think much of it before Bonnie started doing it. And when it got to that point where we needed to obviously get her a bit stronger and whatnot, I found it really enjoyable just seeing her, fend for herself the first time. And I found myself doing a little bit more research than what I probably initially did, just, finding best ways to do things. But as you said before, I think the hardest part is, you go with experiences of other people and your close friends. And one thing we really learned, I guess, pretty quickly was that, we took in a lot of information, but we certainly didn't listen to everyone and what everyone said, because every person's different. I think that's, as I said, something that we learned really quickly. And we're not people who judge. We don't judge anyone with what they do with their own kids, because every kid, and as I said, every circumstance is different. So we just do what we think is best for our kids. And obviously having the information at hand really helps. But it's a good point you make, I think, about the experiences that you have and the evidence-based stuff, because that's something that you can always fall back on. I think it's easy for people just to say, do this, do that, this worked for me, this didn't work for me. But everyone is different, and kids are different. I mean, we just spent 30 minutes in the car before our 7-month-old was screaming her head off. So like, you just figure out how to get through things, and as long as they're all right and they're safe, then you can get through some stuff. So
Exactly. And I guess, when you are, hearing advice from the, generations before, so our parents or our grandparents, and well, I did this and you were okay. Yeah, that might be so. But since we've had this beautiful passage of time, we've had all of this research that's happened now, and now we know actually the safest place for a baby is in its own cot or a porta cot flat on its back, so its face and its head remains uncovered, so it can breathe properly. Yep, I know I slept on my tummy, and yeah, sure, I'm fine, but we know different now, and that's why we do it this way. So yeah, it can be really hard to kind of navigate that. But yeah, tummy time, a fantastic thing for dads to do as something to get involved with, to help strengthen the baby, as you say, to help them self-correct if they find themselves in a really precarious position in the cot. So we want the whole crux of safe sleeping is about keeping an airway open and clear and protected. And so tummy time is part of that, because we want necks, back, shoulders, arms to be nice and strong, core muscles nice and strong, to help them roll in both directions if they get on their tummies, but also to be able to lift their heads and not smoosh it down into a mattress or into the side of a cot where they could potentially suffocate and asphyxiate. So that's where tummy time is really important, and loads of kids hate it. Their heads are really big in relation to the rest of their body and heavy, and those muscles are really weak. So they carry on like pork chops, and it's really tempting to go, oh, my kid hates it and I'm not going to do it. But dads can do the tough love, and they can persevere and turn it into a game. And then, you'll build up these kids to be really resilient and really strong. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it's
really, really beautiful.
So, I mean, like I said, like I keep saying, it's all, based on our own experiences and what has worked and what hasn't. But we just do what we need to do and get through, as most people do.
Yeah, exactly. And that, certainly when you were preparing for your baby, what sorts of things did you do? How did you find the information to perhaps think about, things that you were going to buy? How did you navigate that? Because that can be really challenging too.
Yeah, it is hard. I think, like you said before, when you talk to sort of parents and grandparents, you can sort of get sucked into the old, this, we did this and this worked, it was easy, don't worry about that, whatnot. But we just wanted to make sure that we did things our way. And as I said, like, our midwives that we have were amazing people. The pediatrician we have that we had at the time down in Tassie for our firstborn, same again, amazing. So we were quite lucky with a lot of resources that we had at our disposal and the information that we got. And my wife's very particular with that sort of stuff as well. So we planned as good as we could, or as good as we thought we could. But it certainly still throws you some curveballs, and I think it's pretty natural to feel pretty uncomfortable, around those times, especially as a bloke. Like, it's not something, I guess traditionally that we, we get put in very much. And talking about, the guys playing cricket, there's a lot of guys out there now who have families, and they're doing a lot of travel, spending a lot of time away from their kids, and it's pretty much left up to the mum, and then obviously help of grandparents and whatnot as well. So it's really hard sometimes to take in information that you really think that you do need, and actually just kind of be a bit respectful about what you don't need to listen to as well, without it hurting anyone's feelings, because that's always a difficult sort of point. But we just do what we think's best, and touch wood, we're going okay so far.
No, that's fantastic. Now, I promise I'm not going to put you on the spot and test you, but do you remember a little bit about the safe sleep recommendations and the things to remember when you're trying to keep your baby safe when they're sleeping?
I do remember a little bit. One of the things that I sort of always kept going back to, and once again, we were quite lucky. We got I forget what you call it, like the wrap, when we're in hospital, to wrap the baby up. And our midwife showed me about 3 or 4 times to basically for me to figure out how to do it properly, because I was very nervous about that sort of thing at the time. Obviously, being a first-time dad and having a living thing in your arms, you just kind of be overprotective. But I got really into that. We even took the wrap home with us and used that for a fair while before we transitioned into one that we already had. But I was quite lucky, as I said. Our midwife showed me a fair bit before I left, and I was pretty comfortable, or in a position where I was comfortable yeah, where
Yep.
I was, easy enough just to get it done myself.
That is so impressive. I love teaching dads how to wrap babies because they all just look and go, oh my gosh, this is so hard. But it's not so hard. It's fine. You just wrap them up like a little, packet of fish and chips. It's great. And we know it's beautiful. And you just, it provides that beautiful back stability so that baby, remains on its back, with the head and face uncovered. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful way to soothe a baby. I love wrapping babies. In fact, today I had the pleasure of wrapping about 8 of them. So flat chat in the hospital, but certainly lots of fun for me. But yeah, so you would wrap your beautiful baby and then you would place, well, Bonnie, if we're talking about Bonnie, on her back in a cot that essentially was empty. It just had a mattress in it, nothing else in the cot, just a firm flat mattress and a bit of bedding. And I would imagine with her, you would have perhaps put a lightweight blanket or a sheet over the top, just kind of to the level of the chest, and firmly tucked her in. That way her head and face stayed uncovered and she could breathe. So that's really, really gorgeous.
Yep. No, we did. We also actually had our cot. We ended up taking away after a little while, but we actually had sensors under our cot as well to basically let us know what she was doing in the night time, and it probably played on our mind a little bit. I always felt like I was tucking her in too tight, and the sensors would go off and that sort of thing. But we were, as I said, we were pretty lucky with the resources we had at our disposal. So it's done well.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. I mean, when you look at the research, it's monitors are neither here nor there, but if you're anxious and it means that you're going to actually get some good sleep or some good rest in between baby cares, I think it's really important if a monitor is going to help with that, then you absolutely go ahead and use one of those. I think that's really sensible. I think we're no good to our children if we're horrendously sleep deprived and stressed off our faces, and we can't actually do what we need to do to help keep them safe in the long run. So yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. And, you had her in a beautiful, safe environment, which was fantastic. Did you have her sleeping in the same room as the two of you at the beginning?
At the start, we did, yeah. We did battle a little bit. Like, I won't lie, I'm not going to come on here and say that we're the perfect parents. And we put her down, and that was it. And that was the end of the co-sleeping and all that. But no, honestly, we battled like everyone does.
Absolutely.
We slowly figured out what works for us, and we just sort of chipped away. And there were certainly times where we thought we were in real strife with them. We didn't know what to do, and whether she was going to get better. And we look back now, she's nearly 4 and she's a great sleeper. She goes to bed at 5:30. She sleeps right through, as she should now. So we feel like what we did, we did well. And as I keep saying, we did what we thought was right. And it's always hard too, I think. You get a lot of recommendations from, different products or different things on websites and all that sort of stuff. So it is really hard to take in information that you think does actually work or is really suited to you and your family. And then obviously not taking other stuff. But we just did what we could. And the girl's going well. We're halfway through that battle now with our 7-month-old. She's not the greatest sleeper, but we're getting through it.
That's it. And you guys are already kind of baseline tired. So it's not quite as, the insult isn't quite as bad with your second, because you already know.
No, I feel like you just learn to live with it now, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think you're absolutely right. We all try and do the very best that we possibly can. And as long as we're keeping our children as safe as we possibly can, I think you're going a really, really long way, and it sounds like you and your wife, Ash, are doing the most beautiful job. And if you're unsure, you're going to ask someone, or you're going to call, Red Nose. If you come across a product that promises the world and you think, oh, well, that sounds too good to be true, maybe I'll just give Red Nose a call. You can. Anybody can do that. And certainly we do receive a lot of phone calls from parents, and particularly dads, if they've been confronted with something on either Instagram or Facebook that, promises the world of more sleep or, head protection for a baby, and they're unsure. Certainly, it's really good to call. A lot of these products don't have safety standards in this country, and they make claims that just are simply not true. And to be able to call experts in the field, such as Red Nose, is a real blessing. And I do encourage yourselves still to do that, Cameron, but also all the other parents that are watching today to please do that too. It's a great resource.
Yeah, you do make a really good point. It is hard, nowadays too, particularly with social media the way it is, and Instagram and all companies trying to promote their products. Everyone's trying to get out there on the market and make sure that they make sales, and that necessarily or doesn't necessarily mean that they're the safest. So it's not always, just because someone puts it up and heaps of people buying it doesn't mean it suits you. And yeah, that's, as I keep saying, that's what we learned. We've just gone with what we thought, and yeah, we're going okay so far. So we'll always, we certainly feel like we're always learning. Like that's something that we know every day. We pick up new things and we learn new things from the kids and other families as well. We've got I've got a twin brother who has 2 boys. His 2 boys are pretty much the same age as my 2 kids as well. So my wife and his wife are obviously very close, and yeah, they feed off each other a lot. So that's really helpful for us, and I'm sure, yeah, the best connections you can have, especially as young parents, is just your family and friends that are going through similar, I suppose, circumstances.
Absolutely. And remembering that if you're, bombarded with, products on the market and advice that's just hitting you left, right, and center, you think, oh my gosh, it's just so noisy, and you're getting lost in those weeds. Just remember that the babies that you have in front of you are very simple, primitive creatures, and they don't need a lot. Sort of less is more. And if we're, tempted to buy things to throw in the cot because, it's soft and it's, cloud-like and it's all of these, things, actually, every time we add something to a sleep space, we're adding risk to a baby's airway. So the best thing to do is just to get rid of it. So babies really only need, obviously, their parents, but they need, a safe sleep environment, a cot or a porta cot. They need some safe device to get from A to B. So that's a pram and a car restraint, a few muslin wraps at the beginning, and some nappies and some clothes, and that's really about it. We don't really need to be buying all these extra things at all. And just trusting ourselves as well as parents and following our instinct is really important as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just to change course a little bit, I hope that it's okay with you just to touch on the grief and loss side of things, because as you know, Red Nose does do a lot of work in this space to provide 24-hour support 7 days a week, every day of the year, to parents or to anybody that's been touched by the loss of a baby. Yep. And I just wondered if you could share with us, what you've witnessed in your circles with this.
Yeah. So I guess it was one of the things, or the reasons why I really wanted to get involved is, we have had some close friends go through some stuff. Not only, this particular couple that I'll explain now, but yeah, we've got some close friends in the UK who have a little girl who's battling cancer. We actually have some friends who have been through IVF about 7 times now, trying to have their first child, and another set of friends that are trying to have their second child. So like, we certainly, I guess, seen it from all different angles around, grief and what people go through. And it's probably something we didn't really feel in touch with until we had kids. You obviously go through everything that's involved, all the emotions that come with it, and then once you sort of have your family and you're sitting there and you realize how lucky you are to have a happy and healthy family, and you just understand that not everyone goes through that same experience. And it's as I said, it's probably something that's really overlooked, particularly in males. I think that it's women, obviously the ones who carry the baby, they get more emotionally attached than probably what the men do up until the bubs arrive, really. I mean, you guys are the ones that carry it, and we just there to support until it's there. But until you have your family, you just don't realize how lucky you are until you go through that. But yeah, we have some friends in Brizzy who just had their first boy, Cohen, and yeah, they had a bit of a battle. I can't remember exactly how long ago it was. It was a fair while ago now, but they fell pregnant, got to about the 26th week mark, had some complications. Without going into too much detail, with the baby getting obviously what it needed, before those last few weeks of being ready to come out, and went for a scan. Unfortunately, it wasn't a heartbeat, and they had to go through stillbirth, and it's just, as I said, it's something that you don't really think about until you actually experience it for yourself. And we've been, I guess, fortunate enough in some aspects that we've been in positions that we can lend some support. And the guys that I'm talking about now, I did a little bit of a taking them on my Instagram profile, and I spoke to them a little bit before I told their story, and I actually just reached out to them and said, look, Renegades is in touch. I'm just want to know if I can share your guys' story. It'll obviously help a lot of people. And yeah, they actually burst into tears when they found out I wanted to share it. So happy to be able to help people. And I think, obviously at the time, the grief that you go through, you don't know what to feel, and we all won't know what to feel if we went through that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think they're really in a position now where they're happy to share that story because they feel like they can help people. I mean, I guess the tough thing being is there's certain things that are just out of our control that, sometimes we just can't help. But there is, certainly times where people can offer advice and share some stories just to prepare people a little bit better about the risks and other things associated with birth, and obviously having children. And there's people that go through that stuff every day that we don't see. So but yeah, look, they're going really well now. They've got their little boy Cohen. He's gorgeous. They've just moved into their new house, so I guess for them life's going really well. And it's still something they obviously celebrate, see on their first little boy's life every year. So yeah, it is really sad, but obviously it's good that they can celebrate his life every year and with family and friends. And yeah, I think they're really pleased now that I was sort of able to help them share their story, and just hopefully, help anyone else that's going through a similar situation, or just understand that you can reach out and get help and get support.
Absolutely. And sharing stories means that you're really honouring those babies that most definitely were there. And, as you touched on before, you don't know what to feel, and, it everybody feels something different, but all of those feelings are quite normal, as well. It's our normal reaction to a situation that I guess is really abnormal. So for you to be there with them to provide support, I think when you haven't actually been through it firsthand, I think is really admirable. And it's really, really hard. It's really hard to know what to say. And do you, I mean, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy, this to happen, but what sorts of things did you do to support them? Do you remember?
Well, I was probably a little bit naive, to be honest, at the time, just because at the time, so originally my friend that I'm talking about, I played club cricket with him, and it was how I got to know him, got really close to him and his wife. But yeah, we wouldn't see them that often. We just sort of see them on the weekends, and it was something that they kept really close to their chest for a long time. So I think at the time of it obviously happening, we knew something was going on, and they were obviously struggling. And I mean, you obviously know people are pregnant. It's something that you share. So I guess, we just tried to be there as best as we can. We're certainly not the closest people to them. They've got family, and they've got a big family and a big group of friends in their inner circle that sort of, that they would lean on more. But yeah, for us, getting a good relationship through cricket and seeing them every week, having functions down the club, all that sort of stuff, we were seeing them all the time. So we just sort of, I remember actually saying to Ash, earlier today, I was talking about doing this interview, and I said, like, it's funny, you sit back and think about what you did and how you helped, but you always wish you could do more at the time, but you just don't really know what to say. And it is hard. I guess you just got to really just be open, and admirable to, I guess, how they're feeling at the time, how they went through it and how they got through it. And I guess seeing them now, how happy they are with their family, and obviously, like I said before, they can celebrate Dion's life every year. So I think that's really happy, and makes us happy, it makes everyone else happy. But there's certainly sad parts about it. And you just got to, I suppose, for anyone that goes through that sort of stuff, you just got to be willing and adaptable to helping out any way you can.
Yeah, let them have space and have the conversation. It's fascinating how, once you do open up that opportunity to talk about it, how people can join in and say, actually, we had a couple of, stillbirths too, or we've had miscarriages too. And it's amazing how many people this affects, and you just wouldn't know, because people do keep it to themselves, to protect themselves, from the grief. But also, I guess there's, stigma attached to it, which is unfortunate, because really the best thing to do is to talk about this and break down the stigma, and almost, I don't want to say normalize it, because it's not normal. We don't want our babies to die before we do. It's not the natural order of things, but we do need to be comfortable enough to share our stories and honor our children, no matter how old they were when they were born. I think it's really, really important, and it's just beautiful that you can be here and help spread that message as well, Cameron. So thank you. You touched on, it's hard to know what to say. And for those who will be watching this down the track, Red Nose does have an excellent resource called Words Matter, and that can really help people to start a conversation with a bereaved parent, because sometimes, as you say, it is really hard to know what to say. And it doesn't really get easier. I know working clinically, even myself, I will be working with a family in a situation, and I will say, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry that this has happened, and I'm here with you now. And what can I do for you right now? And that might be all I can say too. It can be really, really hard. It doesn't matter whether you're, a professional in the field or not. It's still a tricky thing. But certainly leaning on Red Nose for resources can be really helpful as well. Yeah. Well, I think, Cameron, I've held you up long enough from your day, but I just wanted to say again, thank you so much for coming on here and talking about prevention and talking about grief and loss and helping us here at Red Nose spread those messages. It is just so important, as you know, and we're so very lucky to have you. And just before we go, everyone, if you do want to get in touch with Red Nose Safe Sleep, you can do so after the 10th of January 2022 as our Safe Sleep lines reopen, 1300 998 698. For anyone who is touched by the loss of a baby, please do call our grief and loss line. That's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's 1300 308 307. And we will connect you with a counsellor straight away. Cameron Boyce, thank you so much. And we look forward to working together very closely with you soon.
Thanks, Jane.
All the best. Good luck. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.